Welcome to Cardboard Box Games. I'm Adam.
I'm Adam.
I'm Andrew.
We have Andrew with us today. Let's get started. Kick off this week with Card of the Week. And we're talking about Mars this week. So I'm assuming we probably all pick Mars cards, but I don't want to spoil anything. So we'll start with to the left. And Adam, why don't you go first?
So my card is a Mars card. You gain 1 amber from playing it, and it's called Total Recall. Once you play the card, for each friendly ready creature, gain 1 amber, and then return each friendly creature to your hand.
Wow. Oh, so basically, you can't reap with them.
You can't.
But if it's another house, that could be powerful. You could tee up a big turn the following turn,
You can.
Untamed or something like that. Have you ever played with that card, or did you just find it?
I found it in one of the powerful decks in Monster Vault.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
Well, my card is Sniffer. It's a Mars card. And you gain 1 amber from playing it. And for the remainder of the turn, each elusive creature loses their elusive, which is really interesting.
And it's an action for an artifact, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Which is
That's actually pretty awesome.
That is, I saw that card too.
I don't know what to think of that card, because elusive kind of does a lot, but also it's like...
What I love about that card, though, is that it gives you an amber, so regardless if the opponent has elusive or not, you still get... What I hate is cards that sometimes don't do anything, and you don't even get an amber for it.
Exactly, yeah. At least it has amber on it.
So both of you picked interesting cards. I picked a very simple card, and the reason, I'll explain why, but this is a Mars action, Ammonia Cloud. Literally play, deal 3 damage to each creature.
That's powerful.
I saw that card a lot in Master Vault. For some reason.
Mm-hmm.
To me, and maybe I'm wrong, and I want you guys to disagree, because you just said it's powerful. I actually think this card is horrible.
Me too. Especially in the Mars house.
Yeah, because unless you can play it with no Mars creatures on the board of your own, because it kills all of your own creatures.
Yes.
Every time I've had this card in my hand, I'm like...
That's why I'm surprised. That's why I'm surprised that card is in most of the decks in Master Vault. Power level 3.
With the power level 3 and up?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe people find ways to use it, but for me, it's it always feels like a waste of a card. But at first glance, when I first looked at this card, I'm like, this card is good. And then I go to play it, and I'm like, this card is not good. And I don't think people realize that until they play Mars a bunch.
Yeah.
Well, that card got me out of tricky situations before.
That one has?
Mm-hmm.
So you guys have to excuse me a little bit, but I actually have a cold that I want to make sure I get some tissue for. All right. So heading into our main topic, I first want to talk about what's happened this last week. So we may not have anything major. There's been no tournaments, but Adam, do you have anything you want to talk about that's happened this last week?
Not really. There's nothing.
We played a lot of KeyForge on the weekend.
Oh yeah, you found this infinite deck.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So
Infinite Kill deck.
what day was that? Sunday?
Think so.
Sunday night. We started playing a ton of games.
I was playing against Dad.
We did a mini tournament.
I was gonna plan to get 3 amber, and then he just comes out with an infinite kill. And it's insane.
And I want to say, to add on to that a little bit, this is a deck that we got pretty early on in our stash back here.
Yeah.
So we didn't realize that it had the 1-turn kill combo in
and
it.
I used to think it was horrible deck because I used to play it.
And it isn't a great deck, but it's an amazingly fun deck. It is now one of my most fun decks to play. And bless you. To add on to that a little bit more, though, is on the Crucible when I play people, and I actually do hit that 1-turn kill combo, a lot of times people get upset about that. But the thing is it's not easy to get that.
Not
so the
easy.
entire game, you're trying to stay alive, and you're trying to position things, and you're trying to watch out for artifact control, because you need all these pieces to line up, and you can get interrupted so quickly that when it fires off, that's what I love about that deck. I love the strategic element of okay, I'm in this position now, I'm not going to be able to survive. There are times that I'm I have to abandon the possibility of getting that combo. And you have to know when to do that. Mm-hmm. And I actually played some games against you where I just was all I'm focusing on is a combo. I'm not going to pay attention to you. Utter failure.
I destroyed them right away, basically.
Yeah. So it's more of like balancing both of those things. And when I did it to Andrew, I'm like, holy crap, I can actually pull this off. That's amazing. And since then, I've been able to pull it off about 3 out of 10 times. So I'm not as consistent as what I'd want to be. But still, the deck does, because I have that, if I can just keep the game long, I've actually cycled through the deck an entire time, reshuffled, and been able to hit the combo on the second time through. Because I had to use everything I could to like slow down the opponent.
Yeah.
And I had to wait for the second time to actually fire off the combo. But I do recommend any of you that get frustrated with playing against a one-turn kill deck, if you have one, or you have an opportunity to play one, play it, because you're going to be like, holy cow, this thing is very tricky to play, and you're going to feel like you lose a lot. But it is going to be so much fun when you start learning what the deck can do and how you have to time pieces. And by the way, if you kill my Nepenthe Seed, it stinks.
Yeah, so if you have a Nexus and they have a Nepenthe Seed, you should automatically go for it and try to sacrifice it right away, because you don't know if they have a library of access with them.
Go ahead.
And the card, if you don't know, is an Omni ability. You sacrifice it and you get a random card, any card from your discard pile.
Yeah.
Right? And
I guess we should talk about that, because it's library access.
Library access, yes. So what you do, you play library access. Once it gets discarded, you sacrifice the Nepenthe Seed to get that card again. Then you play it again, right? Then every single time you play the Logos card, you draw 2.
Yep.
And so then you can
because library access is stacked.
Yeah.
It also has phase shift in there. It also has a card that I can phase shift into, which lets me return up to 3 creatures to its owner's hand. So I return my 3 Logos creatures again, and then I can play those again. And then I have that Virtuous something card that gives you 3 amber. So I get to a point when I get to the end of my deck where I just go phase shift, Virtuous card, and Sanctum, back and forth. And I've actually gained up to 100 amber on the Crucible before.
Wow.
Because someone had purged my Chota. So there's no way for me to forge. So my thinking is like, all right, I'm ahead. We both have no keys. The game has went long. We kept each other off of keys. If I gain 100 amber and they half me twice, I still get to forge 3 times before they
I'll
did.
try to bait and switch and both take 50-50.
They did. They
Wow.
did. They bait and switched me, took 50 of my amber, and but I still was able to win because I was forging a turn before them.
Yeah.
And they didn't have Untamed, or they didn't have a way to key cheat. So it's like, it wasn't a one-turn kill, but it was like an infinite amber generation.
Awesome.
So yeah, that bait and switch probably felt good to that person to bait and switch 50 amber from me.
That's powerful.
But anyway, that deck does not have Mars in it. The topic of this week is like, what does it take to make Mars good? And I think I've probably played Mars more than all of you guys, because I had a deck that I played in a lot of tournaments here with Mars in it. So I'm curious to see what you guys think, because I think naturally you have both kind of saw Mars and can I don't know if I want to play that. So we'll start with you, Andrew. When you open a Mars deck, I guess, what's your first thought?
My first thought, if this could be really bad or really good, because Mars is can go any way. I've only had one good Mars deck out of 10, so, but I like Mars decks that has a lot of artifacts. There's this one Mars deck that once you use the artifact, go for your deck until you get a Mars creature, and you can automatically play it, which is really good. And if you get a tanky Mars deck with I like tanky Mars.
Some of the big
Tunk
is probably one. There's also that 9 power guy that comes in stunned.
Right.
There's this dragon guy. He's 7. He stuns his enemies. He stuns.
Oh yeah, that's right. But he stuns his enemies before combat, right? Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
he's fun too.
Yeah, but they all come in stunned, so it takes a while to get them.
So you kind of answered our second question a little bit. So we'll hand it over to Adam. And when you first open a Mars deck, what's your first thought?
So right away, I think it's horrible because it's super hard to get a good Mars deck that has the same good symbiosis with it, other Mars creatures. But the strange thing is, on Master Vault, most of the XSC didn't really have creature abilities. It just had action abilities that were really awesome. Most decks I saw had ready and use a friendly creature, or like stun creatures.
Yeah.
Which are pretty interesting to me.
That is a good point because, I mean, in those decks, Mars is probably like a support house. So it's like the other houses must be really strong, and the Mars house must be like supporting that versus being like a main house in that deck.
Yeah.
So for me, I always think the same thing, and I always think like no phosphorus stars, no ammonia clouds. No phosphorus stars, no ammonia clouds. Because I feel like every deck that I get that even feels remotely fun, I get stupid phosphorus stars, which gives you 2 chains for stunning every non-Mars creature, and then ammonia cloud, which always kills all my own Mars creatures. So both of those feel like dead cards in my hand. But yeah, I kind of think the same thing a lot of times. It's like, literally I go, oh man. But this is because I played a lot of Mars cards. I played that one Mars deck, and I always felt like my Mars cards needed to be done in a certain order. Things needed to be lined up perfectly. And I just never seemed to get that. So the next question, which Andrew's already kind of answered a little bit, but I'll hand it back to him, is like, what cards do you want to see, and what cards don't you want to see in a Mars deck when you open it?
I don't think that's
Okay, so what cards I do want to see and I don't want to see. So the cards I don't want to see is I don't honestly really know.
Phosphorus stars, probably. That's got to be for everybody, right? Like, that's the worst card in the set.
Probably, yes. But I was thinking more to, like, the creature cards, what cards I don't want. Sometimes I feel like the huge creatures I don't really want because I have to wait a whole turn
To be able
to really use them.
Yeah.
I do like the tank cards, though, so that I can protect my other creatures.
The taunt guys.
Tonk is good.
I really like John Smith as a creature. I believe he is for each friendly ready Mars creature capture some.
Oh,
Is that the one I'm thinking of?
No, that's a different one. John Smith is actually even more awesome in my opinion. He is Reap, and then you ready a non-Mars
agent
creature.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it says non-Mars agent creature. Or it says I think it's just non-agent creature. Actually, I'd have to look him up, but basically he allows you just to ready stuff, and it actually ends up really good. Let me go get the exact reading of John Smith while you're talking.
And other card I really like to see is Grabber Jammer. So right away by playing the card, your opponent needs to get 7 amber to forge a key.
Yeah, that's powerful.
And its Reap ability is capture 1 from your opponents. And I believe that's pretty powerful. And in all the Master Vault decks, I saw that every single deck I saw had Grabber Jammer in it. So I think that it's telling me something that Grabber Jammer is a good card.
I think Grabber Jammer is a fantastic card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Andrew, what do you think of Ether Spider?
Oh, I kind of like the spider because it can stop the opponent from like getting amber.
So what it does exactly is when if you play Other Spider down, whatever amber your opponent gains, it goes to your spider.
Yeah.
And I've had like multiplayer games with ridiculous amounts of amber on my spider before, which I actually had posted on Reddit and stuff, and got people really talking. So John Smith is ready a non-agent Mars creature. So what I really love about that is it allows you to double use like Grabber Jammer. It allows you to a lot of Yixalo Bolter, which is a card that I love.
It is.
And if you guys don't know what that does, it's actually
it's when you reap, you do 2 damage to a random creature or any creature.
to destroy, and if it destroys that creature, purge it.
Purge it also.
Think about the strongest house in the set right now.
Shadow.
Think about the size of Shadow's creatures.
Small.
Super small.
I think Yixalo Bolter is the reason why the higher power decks have 2, sometimes 3 Yixalo Bolters in it. Anyway, the guy that you were talking about, that he comes in and he captures 1 for each friendly Mars creature,
Yeah.
he is Yixalo Marauder.
Oh, okay.
He's also a good card to have, even though it's hard because a lot of times you don't have ready Mars creature because you build up a set hand and then you're like, but
Yeah.
he has saved me before, so I can't say too much bad about him. Let's see. So the next question, did you guys have any more on that topic on cards you look for?
Not really.
One question. Do you think Key Abduction is a good card? Do you think you should just get rid of it right away in your hand if you are kind of far behind? Or should you save Key Abduction?
What do you think, Andrea?
I can't figure out what that card does.
So let's read what Key Abduction does, but because it does have like a weird. Let me see if I can find it real quick while we're talking. But my first thought is I think Key Abduction is actually pretty good, and I've had it used against me a few times. But I will say sometimes the math for that is a little bit tricky. I've seen people mess up the math of like figuring out
the exact amount
of amber. So here it is. Okay, so the thing that I like about it is that even if you're behind a little bit, you can play it to get 1 amber. So say you play it before you play any Mars creatures, and then you return each Mars creature to its owner's hand. And then if you have a bunch of cards in your hand for whatever reason, you may forge a key at its cost plus 9 amber. But it's reduced by 1 for each card in your hand.
Wow. So if you had like 13 cards, you could forge a key.
Like 2 amber.
Yeah, because it'd be 9 plus 6 if it was standard cost, so 15.
Maybe 2 amber.
So then it would be a 2 amber key.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
Is it also for an opponent or just you?
Just you.
So you could just...
It returns their Mars cards to their hand, too.
And you also gain amber for playing it.
Exactly.
So you can just play a bunch of Mars cards, maybe wait a turn, and then play Key Abduction?
This card would go really good with a Logos deck.
Yeah, if you can get a hand where you've already drawn a bunch and then you play Mars Key Abduction, then forge a key, and then...
And if you get the infinite combo deck with Key Abduction...
That'd be kind of fun.
You just get key for free, basically.
Yeah.
If you draw so many cards.
I bet you could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that, but you could with phase shift.
With phase shift, yes.
With phase shift, you could phase shift Key Abduction. You don't even need Mars creatures out. You're just like key.
Exactly.
Key. Yeah. Just cycle for your deck and then get it. Yeah.
That's funny. Actually, I didn't even think of that.
That's powerful. Huh.
So what house do you think Mars is really good against, besides for Shadow?
I mean, I still think... I think Mars is terrible against Bromnar.
Yeah.
Agreed.
You feel the same way, Andrew?
Bromnar and Sanctum, like the good powerhouses.
I guess if you've played a little bit of Mars. Most of the time you don't. When you played Mars, did you feel like it was better against one house than another?
Mm-hmm. Like sometimes. It depends on like the deck and what creatures it has in the deck, though. And
I think that's the main point. Is like Mars needs a certain combination of things to actually work together. But anyway, I'll let you keep going.
Yeah, that's right.
So I feel like Mars is good against Logos cards also.
Really?
Because there's a couple cards in the Master Vault I saw that it's a really awesome card where once you play this action, you gain an amber, and then you can archive 3 of your enemy creatures
into your own archives.
Into your own archives. And I thought that was insane.
I've never seen that card.
Because you can get rid of their awesome, super powerful creatures that help them gain amber or whatever.
So for me, I feel like what it takes for Mars to really be good is like a perfect combination of cards that work together. Mm-hmm. John Smith is super important.
Yeah.
Yixalo Bolter is super important.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Grabber Jammer is super important. There's that guy that lets you use a non-Mars creature.
Yeah.
Which I can't remember what his name is, but anyway, he's important. There's just... there's also that guy that has an action that makes a enemy creature capture 1 amber from his own side.
Right.
I think he's somewhat good. No phosphorus stars, no ammonia clouds. I don't think it should be heavy on artifacts. I think 1 or 2, maybe Mother Gun might be a good one.
And what's Mother Gun again?
Ready Mars creature.
No, Mother Gun is the one that you tap and you reveal Mars cards from your hand, and then you do damage based on the number of cards that you reveal.
Oh, okay.
That one's debatable on if it's good or not, but I have used it to kill important creatures. Which,
It depends how many Mars creatures you have. I mean, like, in your hand at the time.
It really does. But sometimes even 2 is enough because you can kill that pesky little shadows guy.
Well, you have to choose Mars to actually use it, though. And if
You do, yep. You have to choose Mars.
So if you only have 2 Mars creatures, and it's like, in your hand, it's like, why choose Mars then? Unless it's like a losing situation.
That goes back to some of the stuff that we've talked about in the past, because you have to decide at any time, like, what impact you have with things on the battlefield and in your hand. And there are games like when I'm doing my 1-turn kill deck where I'm racing to try to get through my deck to get the pieces. But at the same time, I have to balance, like, sometimes I have to slow down to stop what's happening on the board or use what I've got on the board. And I think the same thing goes for Mars a lot of times, is that in that situation, you may only have 2 Mars cards in your hand, but you might have 3 creatures in your hand. One of them might be John Smith, one of them might be Yixalo Bolter. You Yixalo Bolter, kill one of their guys. John Smith, ready your Yixalo Bolter. Yixalo Bolter, kill someone else. You gain 2 amber from all that because of Yixalo Bolter reaping. Then you do your Mother Gun to reveal 2 cards, kill something else, play your 2 cards. Like, there's a lot of stuff that you can do that I think when you look at your board state, Mars might not be obvious that you should be playing Mars that turn. But there's a lot of interactions between cards that when they get going just feels like super powerful. Unfortunately, I haven't really found many decks that ours play that way.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to have like a Mars Sunday, where literally we all have to just find Mars decks in our batch of decks back there and just play them.
Yeah.
And see what they feel like. That one deck that I played in tournaments, it was definitely like a support house.
Barb Strike, I believe.
Yeah, Scadia Spawna Barb Strike. It had Phosphorus Stars, which I played.
That card.
I have actually played it because the opponent had a ridiculous amount of creatures on the board. But gaining the 2 chains and literally not affecting the board state other than just slowing them down a turn. I don't know, maybe I'm too hard on that card, but to me it felt horrible because I'm already behind. I play that to stun them. I draw 1 less card now. I draw 2 less cards on 2 turns. Like, my position just is not great in that situation. If you're ahead, you play Phosphorus Stars. This would require you, if it was just enemy creatures too, by the way, it would make it different. If you play Phosphorus Stars, you're going to stun all your own things. So it doesn't really work if you're ahead or behind. So for me, that's why I like the first 2 things is no Phosphorus Stars, no Ammonia Clouds. I want 2 John Smiths. I want like 2 Yixalo Bolters. I do want a couple of those big taunt guys because I think they're good. I love Tunk. He heals himself when a creature comes in. And I would love 2 Grabber Jammers. Like, that combination would be phenomenal to me. A Key Abduction would also be super fun to throw in there.
Spider.
The Spider is fun to play in there. I would love to actually have an infinite combo now with Logos and Untamed and actually fire off Key Charge all the time for free. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Have your whole deck in your hand.
Most of the Mars decks I saw that were actually power level 3 had Shadow and Logos cards. Do you think that benefits Mars more?
Probably Logos definitely benefits Mars because
you draw more cards.
Yeah, you draw more cards if you have the right combo with Mars, and if you have like an infinite deck with Mars, then you just do really good.
We're talking about a regular deck, though.
Like a regular deck, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Why would Logos?
I would say about out of 10 decks, about 8 of them were Shadow and Logos. And
Shadow, Logos, Mars.
I mean, Logos has a lot of drawing in it, so
it could just be that Shadows and Logos were really strong in those decks, and Mars was a supporting house.
It could be because the Shadow deck had a bunch of damage dealing cards like Evanescent Principle.
Evanescent Principle is the one that has Amber.
My bad. The card where you deal 2 damage, and if it kills a creature...
Relentless Whispers.
Relentless Whispers,
yeah. Okay.
And there's one deck that had 3 of those cards, and then 2 of the one card, when you play it, you steal 1 from your opponent and then deal 2 damage to a creature.
That's powerful.
its shadow deck was just full of damaging spells.
That stole.
That stole, yes. And it had Bait Switch also, and it had only like 2 creatures. And that was surprising to me, because it didn't really have that many creatures in its deck at all. It had over like maybe 14 creatures.
It's gotta be... I would love to find a deck, and it'd be cool if anyone else knows of one. There's gotta be a deck out there where Mars is the main house. Like, Mars is the strongest house in that deck, and the deck is competitive. You know what I mean? Like, a deck that's actually like high power level, or could be high power level because the Mars is so strong.
They might do that in the future, but right now I don't think you're going to make any deck that's the main power for Mars.
There's gotta be some out there, though, because imagine, like, the perfect combination of Mars cards.
It's too good to be true, though.
I don't think they'll ever... Even if that did happen, I feel like your other houses would still be better. Just in my opinion, I don't really like Mars that much, so maybe it's just my way of thinking that Mars is automatically going to be bad for me.
Yeah, and I think there's a bias that we got to get over, because I definitely have erred on that side too. Like, when we're in a sealed tournament and I open up a Mars deck, I'm like,
oh shoot. Yeah, I gotta lose.
And that is... But I hear other people that actually love Mars. I've played against people on Crucible who have great Mars decks that interact with each other really well. But I've yet to see a deck
That means Mars.
where I'm scared of Mars. I'm always scared of Shadows. I'm always scared of Logos. I'm always scared of Untamed. Not so much some of the other houses. Sometimes, I don't know, Sanctum can get out of hand with me.
Yeah.
But Mars, like... I feel like I always have ways to deal with what's going on with Mars. Like, I've never been scared of Mars.
troubled by Mars.
But there has to be a combination of Mars cards out there where, like, that isn't the case, you know? I can tell you guys about a card that I've got. And I don't know, I might have done this to you guys, but I was playing on the Crucible, and there's a Sanctum card that lets you gain 1 amber for every creature your opponent has in excess of you.
Yes, yeah.
The opponent had wiped my board. I had 2 creatures, and he had like a line of 15 creatures. I played that, and then I Nepenthe it, and then I played it again, and I went up to 30 amber, and then I just was like, I gained 30 amber at 1 turn, and then I was just able to force 3 keys and win. Turns after turns.
That's awesome.
So my 1 turn kill deck didn't even need to use my 1 turn kill. I just gained 30 amber, and I was in a good place.
That's really awesome.
And he had already used his bait and switch, so I knew I was safe there.
So I trying to cycle through his deck to get to it.
I forgot about that story. So I guess to answer this is, like, Mars just needs the perfect combination of cards. I think it really needs supporting houses that work well with it. And it needs a specific meta to go against. And what I mean by meta is that...
Maybe another Mars deck. Mars and Mars?
Mars and Mars, or Mars and Shadow. Any of the decks that have smaller creatures... I feel like Mars can just eat those guys up.
So decks without Bromnar and Sanctum, possibly Dis also?
I actually do believe that Mars struggles against Bromnar. And
Sanctum.
And Sanctum. And it's completely fine to disagree with me on that, but in my experience... Mars just is not good against houses with big creatures.
Yeah.
Because to me, maybe I way too much of the Ixalo Bolter, but I feel like he is incredible and he becomes useless against big creatures.
Makes sense, yeah.
Do you think Disc is weak against Mars or no?
I think. Go ahead.
Well, most of the creatures I saw in Disc are like 4 and higher. I haven't seen one like 2 or 3.
There's ones.
Like Shuffles.
Yeah.
But we don't see those creatures that much. Mostly it's creatures higher than 4 that I've seen in Disc decks. Like Schuler and the Terror. I've also seen Tourette also.
Tourette's awesome.
He's a 4 power creature.
Capture 3.
I feel like Mars isn't that good against Disc. And the reason for it is that so Mars relies on its creatures staying alive.
And Disc
has a lot of like little ways to like pick off flank creatures, pick off creatures that aren't on the flank.
They have lots of other powerful actions that can destroy the board as well.
They can also blow up the board and like gateway to Disc.
Key of Disc.
also
3 like the destroy top 3 creatures.
But that would probably be yours, since that Mars is lower powered usually.
Could you imagine, like, you getting a Mars turn set up, and you get your 4 great creatures on there, and then the board gets blown up?
Yeah.
Now your Mars is going to suck for the rest of that, until your deck gets cycled through and you get those cards back.
So Mars is really not good against this.
I don't think it's good against this either. I do think it's pretty good against Shadows.
I think that's the only house that's good against.
Which is interesting, because right now the meta very much is heavily Shadows.
Shadow.
It is, yeah.
Which means that Mars right now could actually be fairly good.
Because everybody's going to use Shadow decks.
Yeah. And if you think about it, Shadows doesn't really have a good way to, like, wipe the board consistently. They do have some of those cards that do 2 damage to everything. Mm-hmm. But again, that card damages their own creatures, so they have to figure out the right time to play it. So if they have a bunch of Mars creatures, or Shadows creatures down, you should feel pretty safe to pump down, like, a bunch of your small Mars creatures.
Yeah.
Which have elusive, like John Smith. So...
my card was Sniffer, and it gets rid of all elusive. It also is good against Shadow, because Urchin has elusive as well.
Yeah, definitely. I've never had Sniffer in a deck. That'd be fun to play with to see.
That would be fun.
We might have a deck back there that has it. We just haven't played it yet.
I don't think we do, but...
I don't think we do either.
Seems like a fun card, though.
So anyway, I guess we would love to maybe explore Mars a little bit more. I think Mars has a bad rap, and I think partly that is just because
it's hard to make it work well.
It's hard to make it work well, and you need a perfect combination of cards.
And a perfect deck for Mars to go against as well.
And it needs to be, and honestly, like, meta is something that's going to happen. I do really believe Mars is going to be stronger in the next set.
That's what I was thinking.
Probably.
Also.
Yeah.
Because just the Mars cards we see now, they seem powerful and, like, insanely powerful.
Watch how the new cards they release. Mars is powerful and Shadow is weak.
Yeah, the problem that they're going to have with that is that they have to somehow keep this balance with the current set.
Yeah.
So they really need to, like, level out where Shadows does not get more powerful, because I would not want a more powerful Shadows, and where Mars gets a little more powerful. I would love to be able to play, like, a deck where I felt like Mars was my main house, where I open Mars, I'm like, yes, Mars! You know what I mean? That'd be amazing.
To dominate everyone from Mars. Yeah.
I think that would be awesome, because the idea of Mars is super cool. It's just the next set, I think, is going to make Mars better, and I believe
with the deployability and
I haven't seen Mars have a deployability yet, but they gotta have something like that, right?
I'm guessing, right?
Yeah.
Because you think about a spaceship coming in, dropping an alien in.
Yeah.
Like, it's perfect for deploy, right? Like, drop in an alien in the spopper-upper. And then, I guess the only other thing I'd say is that I think Mars probably is the only house that isn't just made up of independently good cards. Mm-hmm. Where, like, Shadows, you don't really require a lot of synergy to make a Shadows house work.
You don't, yeah.
Brobnar, there's synergies to be had, but you can just play big Brobnar creatures that don't interact with each other at all
and just reap.
And still feels good because you can reap and it's hard for them to kill it. Where Mars doesn't have that ability, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Mars requires an extra level of skill to set up a position where you can utilize the Mars turns.
So Mars pretty much needs more strategy behind it.
It needs more strategy behind it, and it needs the right combination of things. So at first glimpse, Mars might not seem good, but there might be hidden gems out there where the Mars decks end up being awesome because you have to play them a certain way. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's sort of exciting, which is why I kind of want to explore Mars even more. Because I found that I want to play decks that are not brainless. I want to play decks that are super hard, where you need to know everything about your deck and how to position things along the way. Like that one-turn kill deck that where, like, there's just more thought going into it. Yeah. So, heading into next week, do you guys have any more... First off, before we head into next week, do you guys have any more topics or things you want to talk about with Mars?
No, well...
What cards do you look out for when you're against Mars?
Grabber Jammer.
Grabber Jammer.
What about you?
I kind of a lot of decks of Mars have ammonia gas, and it kind of just like if they play that first and then their creatures, then it's pretty much deadly though. And if they're behind,
Because especially if you're playing like shadows or like some of the smaller creatures, they can
and
wipe.
it wipes everything.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So you watch out for that one.
And the spider.
I also really, anytime I see a John Smith on the board and a Yixlo Bolter,
Try to kill it.
try to kick those guys out. Tunk is also, I feel like, surprisingly good because he gets healed every time you play a Mars creature,
Which is powerful.
which is powerful.
It depends on the Mars creatures, but it's powerful.
So those are the things that when I see them on the board, I'm like, oh, I have to debate between like going after them or just continuing my game plan because those can generate value over time.
Yeah.
And that's what I always look at. Like I always look at like how much value can these things generate over time. Tunk is like he can get some value, but the thing is they're not reaping to get value, right? So they would need to be killing my stuff. But John Smith, on the other hand, he can get a ton of value. Yixlo Bolter can get a ton of value.
Yeah.
He can purge my creatures, which I really don't want to have happen sometimes.
Yeah.
So I get nervous about that. So those are the things I watch for. And Grabber Jammer is just annoying because it makes your keys cost one and it can capture Amber.
Yeah. It is pretty annoying.
I love playing it though. It's annoying to play against, but I love that. I would love to have a deck with like 3 Grabber Jammers.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
powerful.
most of the decks in there have about 2 or 3.
See, that's
Grabber
awesome.
Jammers.
That's fantastic. Because I feel like I played against the deck on the Crucible that had 2 Grabber Jammers, and it was like, oh, 6 Amber, Grabber Jammer, Grabber Jammer. I'm like, oh, I can't kill both of them, so I'll kill one, get up to 7 Amber. And then he played a third one. I'm like, what? And then he reaped and then, captured one.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, man, okay. Plus they have an armor on them. Like, it's just, those cards are good. All right, I think that's it for me. You guys good?
Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Until next time,
Keep gaming.
keep gaming. Bye, guys.
Bye.